Good afternoon. It is the 4 o'clock hour. Bring this meeting of the Delaware Solid Waste Management Authority to order. And could you call the roll, Kara?
Chair Short,
Here.
Vice Chair Greeno,
I am here.
Commissioner Inscore,
I'm here.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Here.
Commissioner Starkey,
I'm here.
Thank you very much. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. We'll move on to our public comment period. Any member of the public may address the Solid Waste Management Authority on any matter on or off the agenda. Each speaker will be allotted 3 minutes to make their comment. Is there any public comment at this time? Is there anybody online? No public comment. Okay. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. And I am going to take the liberty of moving to the end of our agenda to item number 8. I'm going to adjourn as the Solid Waste Management Authority and reconvene as the Abandoned Vehicle Abatement Service Authority, and move to 8.1, discussion regarding a status report regarding activities for the second and third quarter of fiscal year 2021-2022. Mr. Mello, thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you. Okay, we have the second and third quarter reports for the AVA. As you can see, in the second quarter, we towed quite a bit. That was some proactive work. Having the second code enforcement officer on staff allowed us to get out there and start yarding some stuff out of the bushes and whatnot. And if you come down to the financial statements, you can see the reflection of those costs for doing that kind of work. At the end of the day, it was good. It's good to get those RVs and trailers that we had lingering around junked and gone. So otherwise, at the end of the quarter, which is the end of the fiscal year here, we had $2,720 left to do business with. So that'll see us through until July, and we'll pick back up with a new budget and get after it.
Very good.
Any questions?
Is there any questions for Dominic?
I just have one kind of question and maybe plant a seed. As I spoke with Caltrans over last week, and they are considering perhaps doing a Clean California with vehicles.
Okay.
Have you heard anything about that yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So her name's Julia. I'm going to have her connect with you and see if we couldn't get something like that. Wouldn't that be?
That would be excellent.
Yeah.
That
So
would be a very big
I'll
deal.
have her connect with you and work out the details of that.
Yeah, we can spend that money.
Dominic, these vehicles that you're towing, they're primarily in the public eye, or are we looking in places
So
near the Ruth compound into Michigan Avenue kind of
yeah,
areas?
when we're short money, it's in the public eye. And then when we're doing well with tows, we haven't got saddled with a bunch of tows in public areas, then I start reaching in and grabbing stuff from areas like that. And that's kind of what we see here in this second quarter business. Started going down and pulling stuff out of the briars and whatnot.
Good deal. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Dominic?
Good work.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Appreciate you being here. Okay. We will adjourn as the Abandoned Vehicle Abatement Service Authority and reconvene as the Solid Waste Management Authority, and go to our consent agenda. Approve the minutes of the special session on Tuesday, May 10th, 2022. Approve the payment claim number 9267 in the amount of $6,000 for fiscal year 2021-22 member dues for RCRC Environmental Services JPA. And then approve the budget transfer for fiscal year 2021-22 in the amount of $225,679.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the authority members? I do have one quick question in the budget transfer. I'm trying to get to it so I can see what I wrote down here. There is figures for the advertising oil grant, fiscal year 21-22 in the amount of $145. And then the line below that for the increase in expenditures is the oil grant for 21-22, and it says 1145. I know that messes up the math if it's wrong, but I was wondering if those numbers are correct. It looks like it could possibly be that we have.
Thank you for noticing that.
Amended
I think the numbers are correct in that they're balanced in both directions, are they?
They are balanced. I did the
But
math.
thank
and they're-
you for noticing
They're
that.
balanced in both columns, but, and I do note that it does say advertising oil grant and then special department expense oil grant, so
Yes.
it's two different things. Okay, I just wanted to double check and make sure that we had everything correct there.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have any public comment on the consent agenda items? Anybody online? Nobody online? Thank you. Okay, if you would poll the vote.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Starkey,
Yes.
Chair Short,
Yes.
Commissioner Inscore,
Yes.
Vice Chair Greeno.
Yes.
Very good. Moving on to director's reports. Mr.
All right.
Ward.
Thank you, Chair Short. So July is the month when we are open one extra day in Gasky and Klamath. And so the Klamath Transfer Station is normally open on Sundays and Wednesdays, and starting in July through September, they're open also on Fridays. And similarly for the Gasky Transfer Station, they're regularly open on Saturdays from 10 to 4, and starting in July, they're open on Thursdays as well. So a little fewer extra hours for people who are working during those long summer days. And the Del Norte County Transfer Station, as well as the Gasky and Klamath Transfer Station, will be closed for July 4th holiday. And there is a July 5th cleanup planned by Smith River Alliance, and there's a flyer attached to the director's report on that. Thank you for approving the budget transfers. One of those was paying for the Environmental Services Joint Powers Authority, and I'm the chair of the technical advisory group there, but it also enables Del Norte County to participate in the rural counties discussion, and I know they always appreciate us paying those dues. And the rest of the items we will discuss as the meeting progresses. Shall I move on to the financial report, sir?
Very good. Yes, thank you.
Okay. So looking at our balance sheet, we have $1.5 million in the bank plus $198,000 for last month's rent. So our cash flow is looking okay. Looking at our accounts receivable aging summary, you'll see the largest outstanding bill that we have that has not been sent to collections is under the Cs, and that is for the Caltrans Clean California events, which we are not yet reimbursed for. But we have confidence we'll eventually see those funds, and we appreciate those efforts. Looking at claims approved by director, once again, the largest expenditure, as per almost every month we've ever had this report, is to Hambro WSG for the good services they provide at the Del Norte County Transfer Station. And the next largest expenses are to the Del Norte County Auditor for the interfund cost plan, paying for auditor service, personnel services, and IT services, such as broadcasting this meeting, and the Del Norte County Auditor for the credit and debit card charges. So those are the claims approved by director. Shall I move on to the monthly cash and charge reports?
Please do.
Okay. So looking at the monthly cash and charge reports, we're back to our summer cycle, so our income is increasing, which is good to hear. But in general, this year is shaping up so that our service fees at the transfer station are a little lower than what we anticipated, and our franchise fees income are a bit above what we anticipated. So at this point, with just 1 month left in this fiscal year, we are $5,393 ahead of budget, and it looks like we'll end very close to budget. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Is there any question from any of the members of the authority?
And I suppose our staff would want me to remind you that even though the tonnage figures are somewhat down at the transfer station, our customer numbers are still quite high. So our gate staff are still working hard to service all customers, no matter how much they're bringing in.
Very good, thank you. Laura? Okay, moving on to earned revenue comparisons.
No, I just
Oh,
did that.
sorry,
So we're
sorry.
on to landfill post-closure, sir?
There you go. Thank you very
Okay.
much. Yep.
So the next item is twice a year, we have Lawrence and Associates produce this report that summarizes the monitoring data that Kira is in charge of collecting. And she does this with Michael McClellan and other staff that are available, but essentially this is largely Kira's work gathering this information, and then we send those samples off to North Coast Labs. They come back with data. The data goes to the engineer who does the analysis that is embodied in this report. In general, this landfill has no bottom liner, and so it continues to be a concern to the Regional Water Quality Control Board, especially during the winter months when the groundwater level can rise to the point that it actually reaches the bottom of the landfill mound. So we're looking at the constituents that are measurable, and specifically we're still finding volatile organics and indication that there is some impact to groundwater, but it's not a huge impact. And so we're continuing to monitor and report under the orders from the Regional Water Quality Control Board. And probably significantly, it's worth noting, we now have a different person overseeing, looking over our shoulders to making sure we're doing this correctly. And there's always a, how should I put it, a bit of a shift in tone whenever you have a change in personnel. So Kira is making sure to try to bring that relationship along so that they understand our history here. But with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. In general, this is a required report, so we will submit it, but it's also an opportunity to discuss any thoughts you might have about the management of the closed landfill.
Very good. Any comments from the authority members?
I have a quick question. So this is done twice a year, okay? And this is going to be forever?
On a practical basis, yes. The law requires that after closure was completed, which was done in February 2006, there's a 30-year post-closure maintenance period where essentially you have to do this monitoring and you have to do the maintenance. But from the Regional Water Quality Control Board's perspective, they are responsible for protecting past, present, and future beneficial uses of surface and groundwater. And so it really becomes a question of at what point is this landfill not going to be any kind of threat to the surrounding groundwater? And the answer is, it's going to be a while. But even so, once that 30-year period is done, I don't know what the Regional Water Quality Control Board will require of us, but my guess is it's not going to be zero.
Very good. Any other questions? Mr. Inscore.
Director Ward, with the historically we have had very little luck getting property owners to agree to do water sampling. With our continued attempts to acquire adjacent properties, have you done any research to determine whether or not we will be able to use those properties, even though we are, it's the same entity obviously that would hold them, to be comparative residential well samples?
That is a really excellent question, and the short of it is we have not yet acquired the property that would be most likely the area where we would be doing such sampling. The other property that we have acquired is not immediately adjacent to where the Regional Water Quality Control Board would probably want that monitoring well. So the short answer is not yet.
Not yet. I just, being able to ever give a greater sense of, especially now that we have somebody new in charge of our monitoring. I mean, it's been one of those pieces that we've never been able to show that this is not extending. While it may be, there's impact up and down where it is, but is it really spreading out towards residential wells as far as from an impact standpoint?
I think
I hope that as we move forward with that acquisition, if that takes place, that we're able to use that as part of the ongoing samplings.
Thank you for bringing that point up, and it's probably worth calling the board's attention to the maps that are there indicating the landfill, but you have a map for the shallow aquifer and the deep aquifer, and essentially the flow of the groundwater moves perpendicular to the lines you're seeing there. So it's generally moving from the northwest side of the property towards the southeast. And if you look at those lines towards the eastern perimeter of the property, you can see that some areas it's looking that it's headed either straight east or even perhaps a little bit north. And so that's the area where the Regional Water Quality Control Board wants to make sure that we're not impacting any residential wells. It's also very much worth noting that the residential well of potentially greatest impact is actually on the landfill property. We've consulted with legal counsel, and essentially that is the way it is until, as long as that property is occupied.
So I have one question. Say in the future, we do start to see an uptick in different, contaminants being released. What would be the authority's liability for the surrounding properties' water quality?
Well, it's a little hard to project something like that. It really, but on a practical basis, usually what one would compare to would be the cost of providing water to those homes. That's probably what would be involved. But in terms of liability, very difficult to predict, and it's really at the discretion of the Regional Water Quality Control Board, and I'm not inclined to suggest things they might do.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Ward, have those residences given a reason why they don't want their wells tested? I can't figure out why somebody would not want their well tested if they lived close. It just seems like that would be something we would absolutely want you to do.
And again, an excellent question, and to a person like yourself with a law enforcement background, you're probably familiar that there are some properties where the property owners don't want anybody going on there for their privacy concerns or for any other activities they may have going on there they don't want other people seeing.
Understand. Thank you. Okay, is there any public comment on this item? Is there anybody online? Nobody online? Okay. Seeing no public comment, we'll close that. And that was simply a receive and discuss, so. No
Receive and
vote.
file largely, but it's always a good opportunity to talk about this because, of course, this is the largest property that this agency is responsible for, and so you all need to be apprised of what's going on there.
Very good. Thank you for that. Okay, transfer station operations, item 4.1, receive and acknowledge letter from David Slagle of Hambro WSG dated June 9th, 2022.
I think it might be most appropriate to have Mr. Slagle talk to this item.
Dave, you're here in the audience with us. Do you have anything you want to say to us?
Not really.
Not really. It's pretty self-explanatory in the letters, huh?
It is what it is. You can imagine having a large portion of your company involved in transportation. We've actually cut back a bit. We're hauling for South Coast and solid waste and not looking for other opportunities at this time. You just can't judge what the price is going to be tomorrow. So it's something we need to consider. I wanted to stay away from the special review. I don't know what the guidelines are specifically for it. I don't know if there are any specific guidelines for it. But as this problem continues, and then I see the next item down in the agenda was wages. So we're looking at a kind of a new aspect. Hembro's doing fine. Fortunately, we've got some other entities that are doing quite well. But transportation's a concern. I'd love to have some feedback from you folks and or Ted on what you think needs to be the next step. At this point, we're not requesting that special review, but if things, it's not transitional, you know. So I'd like some input from you folks on what you think would be the next step.
Very good. Thanks, Dave. Any comments from anybody on the authority, any of the members?
No, I'll just say that I do appreciate the heads up letter because that kind of prepares us that this is something that we might have to be considering in the future. And it's always concerning when it gets passed on to the consumer. But that is just something that we might need to have to look at. And I think people are going to be very understanding I won't say sympathetic because, but I mean, this is just affecting everybody in all aspects. So the fact you gave us this heads up is something I do appreciate, and we'll just have to see where it goes from here. How long do you think you might hold out? Okay.
Under the special rate review provisions, it would be at least 120 days from the date of the request and before a required response from the authority. So essentially, you're 3 months out once you request the special review, and then there's negotiations that follow, because the nature of providing these services and seeking a request for proposals is once a contractor is selected, we don't get into the details of their finances generally. But once a special rate review is requested, then we start looking into all the different things that have changed from the start of that agreement. And so it's not necessarily a simple process, and I can't really make any projections until I see what it is we're trying to decide.
It certainly makes sense, but yeah, I agree with Valerie. Thanks for the heads up. Hearing that your transportation section is running at a budget deficit, I can certainly understand that, that's not sustainable. So definitely appreciate the heads up. Jason, Blake, anything?
I'm just going to say, I think everybody's transportation budget is running at a deficit at this point with the inflation the way it is, and
Good point.
the unfortunate tack that our state is taking when it comes to fuel, and on the national level, fuel not being a priority as much as it should be. Unfortunately, I don't see it getting better in the near future, but I'm open to having the conversation, because I know you run a business, and you can't run at a deficit and continue to run a business. So,
Yeah, I will just, and again, I appreciate you bringing it to our attention. It is something, a special review is not beyond our scope. We've done it before when we needed to, and I think we did it in a prudent way, and a very, I don't know, it wasn't painless. That was certainly because it was a process. But we have the responsibility to our ratepayers that if we're going to do this, we've got to look at the whole thing and really make sure that we're doing it. And if that's what we need to do, then we should do that. I mean, we have that responsibility to our contractors as well, because obviously without our contractors, we can't provide the service. So I appreciate it, and if we need to take a look at it, then we will.
May I ask, what would tell us it's time to look at it? What is that line?
It would be a formal request from Hambro. And this is close to that, but it specifically says they're not requesting a special review at this time.
Very good. Do we have any public comment on this item? Go ahead, Joel.
Joel Wallen with Hambro. As Dave has explained, we're struggling, and I'd just add that we are able to purchase all of our fuel in Oregon. So we're already doing what we can to keep the cost down. But if we had to buy it in California, it'd be another $1 a gallon. Yep.
Thank you, Joel. Is there anybody online for no public? Okay, we'll close public comment and move on to item 4.2, discussion and possible action regarding management of traffic and safety on the tipping floor.
I'm happy to report that we have installed a new camera at the Delaware County Transfer Station that allows the gate staff to be seeing what's happening behind the building. So hopefully that will help us with traffic control. What you have in your packet is written material that's provided to customers who are asking to go onto the floor to tip. And essentially it's explaining the rules of the road. Basically, we are keeping Recology and all other self-haul customers separated. So when Recology is on the floor, those other customers are not. When those other customers are on the floor, Recology is not. And the Hambro staff are doing a good job of monitoring that, but of course we wanted to be prepared for the summer months. So I think things are progressing all right. We're not hearing of any new problems or complaints or incidents. So I think things are moving on, and with the permission of the chair, I will consider this item addressed and not put it on future agendas.
I think that's appropriate, unless there's any objection from the authority members.
No objection, just great job figuring it out, and I'm pleased to see that we can find a middle ground solution to this.
Very good. Is there any public comment on this item? No? Okay. Moving on to General Solid Waste Authority matters. 6.1 is possible action regarding proposal from SEIU 1021 representing the employees of Del Norte Solid Waste Management Authority. This is,
Very similar to what you saw last month.
and is this not what we're discussing in closed session today?
Oh, that is an excellent point. Thank you so much for pointing that out. Yes, it is one of the items for the closed session, which is scheduled for 4:30. And yes, it would be appropriate to take action after that closed session. So if you'd like, we could
We will
move
table
on to the...
6.1 right now, and move on to 6.2, hold a public hearing, discussion and possible approval of the proposed Del Norte Solid Waste Management, Del Norte Solid Waste Management Authority budget for fiscal year 2022-23.
So this also you saw last month, and in the intervening time, it has been placed on the agenda for both the City Council and the Board of Supervisors, and they had no comments, so I believe this is ready to approve. But we do need to hold a public hearing, which we advertise, so we should officially open and receive comments on that.
And we did not open the public hearing previously?
No.
So I'll officially open that public hearing today to discuss that budget. Is there any public comment on the proposed budget? Nobody online? Nobody in-house? Well, I'll close the public comment period and bring it to the authority members. Is there any comment on the proposed budget?
Chair, I would make a motion that we approve the budget for the Del Norte Solid Waste Management Authority for the fiscal year of 22-23.
We have a motion. We have a second?
Second.
Okay, Kira, if you would pull the vote.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Starkey.
Yes.
Chair Short,
Yes.
Chair Inscore, sorry. Commissioner Inscore,
Yes.
Vice Chair Greeno.
Yes.
Very good. All right.
8 years ago.
Excuse me. Moving on to 6.3, discussion and possible action regarding the expiration of the term of the public member of Del Norte Solid Waste Management Authority Board of Commissioners.
So this is my bad. I did not notice, Commissioner Tompkins was doing such a fine job, I neglected to look at when his term expired. And officially, the public commissioner term runs for 24 months, and he was appointed in September 2019, and so officially his term has expired. And it's appropriate that the board initiate a process for selecting a public member. So to make sure that the board does not have a vacancy, staff's recommendation is if Commissioner Tompkins is willing to continue serving, have him appointed as the alternate public commissioner and then initiate a process to receive applications for appointment as public commissioner, with those applications due by the 1st of October, and those appointments to occur at the October Authority Board meeting.
And that wouldn't preclude Mr. Tompkins from applying again and
No, it
being
would not.
appointed. Okay.
And I'd be fine with that.
We appreciate you sticking around, Mike, even though your term expired. So you are willing to continue to serve. Is that what I'm hearing?
I am.
Very good. So being Mr. Tompkins is willing to stay, do we have to do all the notices in the triplicate and social media and everything?
If you just wanted to have Commissioner Tompkins remain, I believe that's within the board's purview. You don't have to go out to a separate process, but it's really up to you.
I'm just wondering whether or not, I think that might have been true had his term not expired. And I'm not positive of this. It would certainly be something that we should probably talk to Mr. Black about. But since the term is actually expired, I think we could have simply extended his term, but his term isn't doesn't exist right now.
Well, and there was another thing that, under the attached resolution, the 2014-04, officially, the public commissioner is also supposed to be approved annually by the city council and the board of supervisors. Again, I have not read this resolution in some time, so I dropped the ball on that also. We'll try to do better moving forward.
But we'll clean it up now.
I think we need to go through the process.
Okay.
I think that's the appropriate thing to do. I don't.
Does Mr. Black have anything he wants to weigh in on as far as this goes? He's online with us, I believe.
McKinsey? McKinsey is online, and if Bob is there via Zoom, does he have any
I don't,
input
can
on
you
this?
guys hear me?
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah, I had to become unmuted there. I think that Commissioner Inscore is correct. I think that if we had not had a lapse in the official term, I think that we probably could have moved forward without noticing. I would also point out, I don't believe that the appointment as an alternate is a necessary step when it's the general rule that when a term expires, the incumbent in that particular office continues until the appointment of his or her successor. So I think that would be an unnecessary step, but I think that the MADI Act publication or rather posting of the vacancy is something that should take place as though we had an actual discontinuance of service on the part of the commissioner.
So we would need the authority to direct staff to post notices as it's stated in the agenda then?
And to accept applications
Yes.
from all comers.
So I guess I need to entertain a motion to direct staff to post notices in the triplicate, Facebook, et cetera, indicating that the authority is soliciting applications for the public member appointment, with applications due by the 1st of October and interviews to be conducted as a part of the 18th of October board meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Greeno.
Second.
And second from Mr. Inscore. Is there any public comment on this? No, none online? Kara, if you'd pull the vote?
Commissioner Tompkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Starkey?
Yes.
Commissioner Inscore?
Yes.
Vice Chair Greeno?
Yes.
Chair Short?
Yes. And Mr. Black, I know you're still listening in. I was wondering if it would be okay for us to continue with the last three items on the agenda prior to our closed session. The 4:30 hour has come to us, and because the closed session is a timed item, I was wondering if it would be okay for us to continue on.
Yes.
That's okay with you? Thank you, Mr. Black.
Yeah, you will have to reserve the public session item relative to
Correct. Yeah.
employee compensation.
Yeah.
But other than that, yes.
I realize that, yeah. Just for the interest notification for the folks in the room, I was just hoping to finish up the agenda, so. Moving on to 6.4, discussion and possible adoption of a drug-free workplace policy.
Thank you. So this is just recommend approval. This is modeled after a similar policy from the county, and it was a requirement under the SB 1383 implementation grant that this agency have a drug-free workplace policy. So we hopped to and are ready to adopt this and put it in place. And the short of it is, employees are not allowed to be intoxicated while at work. There are services available if they have such issues, and so it's communicating those basics.
Very good.
So we did not have this policy before?
Not officially, though. We certainly have had substance abuse issues arise, and we have dealt with them.
Okay.
So it's not like it's a new topic, but it's formalizing the policy. And I think it's important, and it's actually been an occasion for us to investigate, and thanks to Kira for looking into what resources are available to people who have substance abuse problems, because we want to be a support for improving their lives.
And my only question is that, did Mr. Black get a chance to review this, and did he feel comfortable with it?
Bob?
Answer, yes, I did. Answer, yes, I did, and yes, I am.
Great, then that's
Very
good
good.
for me too.
Thanks, Bob. So I'll entertain a motion to,
I'll motion to approve that we adopt the drug-free workplace policy.
very good.
Second.
We have a second for Mr. Inscore. Is there any public comment on the drug-free workplace policy? None in-house? Okay, close public comment. Kara, if you'd pull the vote, please.
Commissioner Tompkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Starkey?
Yes.
Commissioner Inscore?
Yes.
Vice Chair Greeno?
Yes.
Chair Short?
Yes, thank you very much. On a similar note, 6.5 is discussion and possible adoption of Resolution 2020-06, adopting a conflict of interest code and setting designated positions for the Del Norte Solid Waste Management Authority.
This is also a checking the box kind of thing, and we did receive on the back pages of this agenda item, you'll see a local agency biennial notice, and essentially it was a request from the county to confirm that we had this policy in place, and we had not formally adopted such a policy, but the main impact of this is that the designated positions, namely the authority director, has to fill out a Form 700 form, which I've been doing forever. So while it is a new policy, it is actually not a change in behavior.
Very good.
But we would recommend adoption so that we have an official policy in place.
I move that we adopt the conflict of interest code.
Very good. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Very good. Any other discussion from members of the authority? No? Is there any public comment on this item? None online, none in-house. Thank you very much. I'll close public comment, and if you'd pull the vote, Kira.
Commissioner Tompkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Starkey?
Yes.
Commissioner Inscore?
Yes.
Vice Chair Greeno?
Yes.
Chair Short?
Yes. Okay, almost the last item, 6.6, discussion and possible action regarding canceling the September meeting.
At different times, the board has discussed possibly not having to meet every month, and so this would be the first meeting where we tried to not meet every month. Second meeting. We're trying to make efforts, but it's important to plan ahead. So essentially, it's an official request to try to not have a September meeting. If for any reason this does not seem like it would work, we would bring that information to the August meeting.
Very good. Any comments from members?
No, you ran this by the auditor's office to make sure everybody's bills are still going to get paid and nobody's going to be delayed in payment?
That absolutely one of our core concerns.
Okay. And they said that would not be a problem?
They think that we can work this out, yes.
Okay.
That was the information I had from them.
Okay.
So is the intent to try to make, I don't know, have us meet every couple months? Or
I think every other month would be kind of the outside. I don't anticipate skipping many meetings,
Okay.
but we haven't really tried to officially, all right, we're going to try, and so thought we might make the effort. And we have skipped meetings before because of various reasons, but this is the first time it would be a sort of a deliberate effort.
What was the identifying factors that helped you identify September as the best?
It allows us a month of lead time to try to work out the details and to possibly ask to change course if that's necessary. It's just good to do it 2 months ahead.
Okay. It'll give you time to add more to
To
the
make
August-
sure.
More to the August meeting to make sure that we have everything on there that
Exactly.
we need to get done. Okay.
Because essentially, the things that would normally have happened in October would be shifted, normally in September, would be shifted to August or October.
Okay.
And so the idea being that you would, or we would, as a board, be identifying certain months when it would be okay to let it slide for another month.
That's right. If the board wanted to provide further direction or focus on a different month, that's certainly the option.
So have you picked one month out of the year? I'm confused on that.
I thought we'd try 1 month and see how it worked and then see what other times of the year it might work.
Okay.
But at this point, I couldn't see us really doing less than 8 months, eight meetings a year. I just don't even see that happening ever. And even 10 meetings a year is probably about where we would be going. I'm not thinking we're skipping many meetings, but it's a trial run to see how it would work.
Okay. Any other comments?
Seems like we always have plenty of work to do when we do.
Yeah, I will just say that I'm not in favor of canceling the meeting. I think we have a responsibility to the public. We made a decision with LAFCO, because of the nature of doing municipal service reviews and those kinds of things, that they don't happen monthly. We don't have work that we do monthly to go to every other month type of meeting schedule. But by the very nature of what we do as the authority and the fact that there's work that's done every day in this community, I don't think that meeting once a month is too much to ask. So personally, unless somebody can give me a compelling reason of why we should not meet, I think we should meet. That's just how I look at it, and maybe that's just because I'm old and I like to know when the meeting is and don't move it around on me. But that's just that's my 2 cents worth.
I agree. We always have plenty of work to do. And I can see where, for you and the staff, it would be nice to have that day off because you do a lot of prep for these meetings.
Well, and September is a busy month. I mean, there's the household hazardous waste event, but again, these are side issues, and it's really about what the board wants to do.
I tend to agree with Commissioner Inscore that we should, it's not onerous for me. And I signed up for it.
Well, I was wondering, since I apparently just miss whatever meetings I feel like missing, and I guess it's been 2 recently. But I'm not the best person to say this, but I'm totally comfortable showing up for all the meetings, except for the last 2 that I missed. So.
Mr. Greeno, you have any comments?
Do I have an opinion? We always seem to have something on our agenda that needs to be discussed and done. But if staff, I don't know, I'm tending to think more like holiday type chock-full months would be more suited to this kind of a thing, like the holiday season in December. Although we seem to find time to get together even then. So I'm okay with meeting every month, to be honest. There's always work to be done, it seems, so.
Okay, looks like we are not going to find consensus on skipping September, so we will.
And again, when I said compelling, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean from us. If staff is saying, because of the things that happened in the month of September, it would be more effective and we would get more done from a board standpoint by working and giving you this much to handle in August and this much to handle in October because of everything that's going on in September. That's what I would consider compelling argument. I don't like making my own arguments, but that's what I need to hear to know that this is, because I don't think any of us have any business saying we don't want to meet. If we're say that, then there's a problem here as far as I'm concerned, because on this side of the dais, we represent the public and we should be available to the public on a regular basis, and I don't think once a month ever be considered onerous from our standpoint on this side of the dais. So I need to hear from staff that September, it's not a trial run from that standpoint to me. There's got to be a compelling reason of why should we do this? That's, and I'm fine with that if there is. So.
And that was not exactly the motivation for this rescheduling, so I'm not going to make that argument.
All right.
All right.
Though it is worth noting that summer tends to be very busy. We do have the fair in August, we have the household hazardous waste event in September, and so some of the thought process was summer doesn't make any sense. We have to wait until after most of the summer is done. It's really not more complicated than that. But
And on top of this, now that I've said this, and I just looked at the calendar, I'll be gone September 20th. So I'm feeling a little stupid. Not that that's anything new for me, but I'll be on vacation. So there's that.
How about you, Valerie? You too?
I'm double checking my calendar right now.
So,
Oh,
I
my
will be here.
goodness.
well, as long as Valerie's here, then we're good.
Okay.
So, just, you know.
Okay.
So,
I'm planning on being here, by the way.
All right, with that item coming to an end, I'm going to adjourn this meeting into closed session for two items. Conference with legal counsel about possible initiation of litigation, and a conference with labor negotiator for employees SEIU Local 1021.
and you might want to note for the public, we will be coming back in.
Thank you, Mr. Enscore. I had that in my head, although it didn't come out of my mouth. Appreciate that. We will be reconvening into open session to report out on closed session items and to act on item 6.1.
Very good.
Okay, welcome back. We have finished the closed session.
Oh. Mics?
Solid Waste Management Authority meeting. Thank you for the reminder on the mics there, Mr. Ward. We have anything to report out of closed session?
We do. On agenda item 7.1, the action was by consensus, the board directed staff to take further necessary steps and report back at the next regular meeting regarding efforts towards closing escrow on the property.
Very good. Moving back to item 6.1, possible action regarding the proposal from SEIU 1021, representing the employees of the Del Norte Solid Waste Management Authority, increasing wages to match comparable ranges and steps for Del Norte County employees with additional lump sum payments to cover the period since the negotiated MOU has expired.
In summary, staff, and this was discussed in closed session, but in summary, the actions staff are recommending is to agree to extend the current MOU with the Del Norte Solid Waste Management Authority and SEIU 1021 through July 30th, 2023, so that's for an extra year, incorporating the following changes for all employees covered by this MOU who are employed with the Solid Waste Authority are in paid status or bona fide leave upon ratification of this MOU. So it only applies to current employees, but it adopts the range and step adjustments that are currently in place for Del Norte County employees. So this adjusts the range and steps for ranges 26, 28, 30, 44, and 50, including pay adjustments in fiscal year 21-22 and an additional increase starting July 1st, 2023. So authority range and step tables match those adopted by the Del Norte County for identical ranges and steps. And finally, adjusting each authority employee's wages to match these range and step adjustments effective the first full pay period of 21-22.
Very good. Do we have any further discussion from the board?
Chair, I would make a motion that we rescind all the actions to the MOU that were made at the 10th of May 22 authority meeting and agree to the points A, B, and C just read aloud by our director.
Second.
Very good. We have a motion and a second. Is there any public comment on this item? No public online, nobody in the chambers. So we'll close public comment, and could you poll the vote, Karen?
Commissioner Tompkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Starkey?
Yes.
Commissioner Inscore?
Yes.
Vice Chair Greeno?
Yes.
Chair Short?
Yes. And with that, we are finished with our agenda for today.
Was there any more?
Is there any further comments from the board for the good of the order from anybody? Okay, we will close this meeting, or adjourn this meeting till the next regular meeting of the Del Norte Solid Waste Management Authority scheduled for 4 p.m. Tuesday, July 19th, right here in person at the Flynn Center.